Hello, everyone, and welcome to After Reality. I'm Spencer Kitley.
And I'm Daniel Oller.
It's week 2 of The Bachelor, and what a week it was. We had crazy, we had dramatic, we had tragedy revealed, and we even had an early exit. This week, we're going to focus on The Bachelor, but that's not all. We'll pull back the covers on a variety of things from around the reality TV world as well. Dano, it was a great week in reality TV. Before we get going, hit everybody with where they can find us online.
You can hit us up on Twitter at After Reality Pod or like our Facebook page, the After Reality TV Podcast.
Dano, what's a good word?
Nothing, just trying to deal with this crazy winter here in Austin, Texas. Last Thursday, I was bundled up. This Thursday, I'm naked. It's going from one extreme to the next.
You and Corinne, I guess.
Yeah.
You're both topless.
Topless, why not?
Hey, it's the way to get a rose.
Hey, that's right. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, last Friday morning I woke up to, I think, 19 degrees.
Yep.
This evening I'll be going to bed to 80 degrees.
Probably.
It's a torrid winter. But there's a lot going on out there in reality TV. The national championship, college national championship game kind of threw a wrench into things on Monday night this week, going head-to-head with The Bachelor. So I had watched The Bachelor on Tuesday night and have thus fallen behind on some of the other shows, but not too far behind. So we'll touch on those after we talk a little Bachelor, and also touch on a couple of shows that we're excited about that are coming down the pipe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. I don't think there's any better place to start than with Corinne, Dano. What we talked about her briefly last week with our friend Matt Gray from Fantasy for Reality. What is your take on Corinne as just who she is?
I know she's the typical I'm here not to make friends person. Every season has one of these people. Chad is most famous for being, he was probably the latest one to be that guy. But every season has this person here. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And Corinne's that girl.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely a group of those people, and they're definitely the villain. Chad's probably in his own class as the sociopath that he is, but it's definitely a similar quote edit to what we saw with Olivia last season, what we've seen with others in the past, what we saw with Tiara and her eyebrow. But Corinne's an interesting bird. I mean, this was definitely an alcohol-fueled episode for her, but we talked last week. I promised to do more research to try to figure out who she is and really what her story is, because her story has been what, Dana, that she runs a multi-million-dollar company, right?
Yeah, with her parents or her dad or something like that.
Yeah, and so figured out what the company is. It's called Armor Garage, which Armor Garage is a do-it-yourself garage flooring company, where I guess you buy the supplies on the internet and they're delivered to your house, and you put in a stain-proof or whatever resistant floor in your garage.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
So that's where she works, but pretty sure she doesn't run that company. She may be being groomed to run it, but I think she's a salesperson for Armor Garage.
I feel the Bachelor and the Bachelorette likes to take a little liberty in people's professions.
Well, but it's not that they took liberty. She took liberty here because she sold us on that with her nanny and such.
I'm saying the producers take liberty in what either their title that's featured under their name, or the lawyer episode. When Andy did her lawyer shots and she was like arguing in front of a fake court and everything.
No, well, just like Rachel did this season at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
And speaking of Rachel, she read the date card this week. That was her lone appearance on this week's episode. So after getting that first impression rose last week, interested to see what happens with her. But Corinne, do you like her?
Yeah, I think she's good for the show. She's good entertainment. It's good to have her on the show. it's good for the girls to kind of fight against and make sure not everyone's all, becomes like a sisterhood. You need to have that antagonist on the show.
Write it down, Dano. I 100% agree with you. I mean, she's great for the show. I like having her there. She's not horribly obnoxious. She's not. We got to a place with Kelsey Poe a couple seasons ago with her quote, "My story, my story, my story," and it just got annoying. But at least this is entertaining so far. What we're getting out of Corinne. Corinne was on the date that we'll talk about a little more in full later, but we'll highlight Corinne here. She was on the wedding photo date with the amazing wedding photographer, at least in what he had to wear and the performance that he put on. Was he an actor or a photographer?
When I was watching it, like, I thought that this person is what you would put like in a Ben Stiller movie as the wedding photographer.
Yeah.
And so
I think the answer maybe to my question is both. He's actor and photographer.
He was the only thing missing was him being like, dance like a monkey, or something like that.
He was pretty amazing. And I saw a great tweet from Zeke that was on this past season of Survivor, comparing their wardrobes, because we know Zeke had a very colorful wardrobe on Survivor this past season. And so Corinne was the beach bride, and I want to go right there. She's wearing a bikini and like a tie-on skirt, I think sarong kind of thing. And I've seen pictures from beach weddings. I've never been to one. You've been to one in Puerto Vallarta, right?
I've been to a couple of beach weddings, yes.
Was that a beach wedding outfit?
No, but neither is the grass bikini bottom with no top.
That was not a beach wedding. That was the Adam and Eve wedding.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't even know if Adam and Eve went that far, but no, you would not wear a bikini to a beach wedding, probably.
No, you wear some kind of very flowy dress, not a traditional wedding dress, but some kind of flowy linen dress, probably.
Probably.
Not to turn this into the fashion podcast, but that part was a little off. Corinne kind of does her thing, running her mouth, and then as soon as you alluded to the Adam and Eve outfit that Brittany comes out in, Corinne is super threatened by this, and total freakout mode, really for no reason. And that's kind of what led us into the rest of this part of the day, Dano.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. She likes the attention. She wants to be Nick's, be in front of the camera as much as possible and in front of Nick, which is the same thing. So she's got to do what she's got to do. Even freak out, take your top off, get drunk.
Takes her shirt off in the pool.
Yeah.
Takes her top off, makes him hold his hands Janet Jackson Rolling Stone cover style over her. This is very forward. And it'd be one thing to do this with just her and Nick, but the whole group of women are there a matter of 10, 15 feet away. It had to have been somewhat awkward for Nick.
We've seen Nick in worse situations than this.
I don't know if we've seen him worse in a group situation.
Oh, yeah, but I after being on 2 seasons of The Bachelorette, 1 season of Bachelor in Paradise, I don't think Nick has any misgivings about any of this stuff.
What do you think would have happened if he had said, hey, I don't think this is appropriate with all of the other women around? Would that have
I would have stopped watching the show because then I knew it was fake.
Well, I think it would have been even better because I think it would have sent Corinne into just a spiral of he doesn't like me and I shouldn't have done this, and I think it could have spawned even more than what we actually got here. I I thought it was silly that the photographer got to say who had the most chemistry with Nick, and then what did Corinne get out of being chosen? Like 15 minutes in a room with Nick.
That's what I think. It's not like they had a special date.
Yeah, it wasn't a let's send everyone else home, because there was a nighttime portion of this group date. And really this date, we'll get to it a little later, but I feel like this date of the people that got to go on dates this week was really the A team. Corinne kind of made her moment in the evening, if her moment wasn't taking her top off, and that was making it really hard for all the other girls to get one-on-one time. She interrupts, monopolizes time, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Is this okay?
Yes, it's trying to win his affection. Just as the first real date, he's going to forget of the people he doesn't talk to. So, hey, this is not a popularity contest.
Yeah. Taylor, she goes a little deeper with Nick. She has a master's degree from Johns Hopkins. She's only 23 years old and has a master's from Johns Hopkins, which is impressive in my book. I like how she came back after being interrupted and interrupts Corinne. I could tell that maybe Nick appreciated that, because I want to get your take on this, Dano. I think when Corinne came for that 3rd time and interrupted Taylor, and she sat down and just said to Nick, "Hey, how are things going?" And Nick was like, "Oh, well, it's kind of a balance of getting time with people and being polite." Did you take that to mean, hey, kind of trying to push her off a little bit and create some time for others?
Yeah, but I feel like this is the stuff that Nick would have done.
100% agree with that.
So I'm not too I totally see Nick doing that guy who jumps in other people's conversation throughout the night.
I agree with that. At this point, though, Nick is, as we mentioned on the last week's podcast, that he is more or less a producer on the show. He knows how things work. He can identify probably already that she's the villain without needing to see an edit of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what's going on. He knows that she's monopolizing his time. He knows how this works. So I'm curious to see where we go from here, and if this is off-putting at all to him, this caricature of a person that is Corinne.
I don't know. I think he likes that he grabs her boobies, so that's smart. I think he'll keep her around. I bet she gets a one-on-one date soon.
You might not be too far off there. I want to talk about this, and then we'll move on from Corinne. She followed up that final interruption by Taylor by trying to trick Taylor into a fight with her. But Taylor's too smart for this. She's not having this. This may work on your friends back in Miami or wherever you're from. But I loved Taylor's lack of interest of giving her even an inch of what she wanted.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I agree. It's nice to see people who are able to kind of know what's going, see the bigger picture, and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you what you want. You're drunk and you're saying XOXO Gossip Girl, which provided a great meme for the week. What's the message though to America and the women that are watching this, and the women that will come on the show in the future, that nakedness pays off with a group date rose?
Nakedness is not new on this show.
It's new in the last few seasons, though.
Okay, well, the last few. There's always. I feel like there's going to be a naked girl around, and maybe more ends up to more girls get naked. I don't know. I don't think. To Corinne, I don't think it's a big deal. her body. It's her body. She can, if she feels like she wants to get naked, it's up to her.
Yeah.
As long as no one's forcing her to get naked and do that, I think it's fine. Now, if the producer has told her, like, hey, why don't you take your top off and get in the pool or whatever, then I guess that would be concerning.
That happens on Unreal, doesn't it? Yeah, huge fantasy points, though, for her this week. Let's switch gears and talk. I mean, there's two polarizing figures here in this week's episode, right? There's Corinne, and there's who I'm calling the Liz. Liz is somehow, we saw her through a series of spliced together conversations with Kristen at the house. And when I say spliced together, there were different hairstyles and makeup and clothes in these conversations where they packaged it up without any regard for continuity, just for the sake of, hey, we gotta put this together. Liz's secret apparently was weighing too hard on her for some reason and had to open up to Kristen. Kristen's reaction, probably not something that I wanted to put on Monday Night Family Friendly television show. Dano, question for you. Why, oh why, would you share this information?
I mean, again, I think it's good TV. If you want to be in TV, you have to, like, act. Them just bathing in the sun, talking to each other, isn't going to get them airtime. But if Liz is talking about her hooking up with Nick, then people get a little bit more interested.
But if she truly is interested in a relationship with Nick, wouldn't it behoove her to withhold this information, at least until possibly Nick brought it up?
No,
or she had a conversation with Nick?
I mean, if she feels like she's a friend to this person, then maybe she wants to make sure this person isn't blindsided.
Yeah. And she goes all in. Details, tells how she was spurned or how she spurned him for an exchange of numbers, which is still a head scratcher for me. Do you read anything into that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't read it. It's, she has to be a producer pick to get on the show. I guess the only thing that bugs me is that, like, what's the point of bringing her on the show if we're just going to get rid of her in the second week?
You know how she got on the show. Jade Roper was on one of the Ringer podcast shows this week, and she was talking about how Liz was of course, at her wedding, and she recommended that she try out for the show. She put together a tape, and not too hard to get that tape in the right hands when Jade, who's been on 2 seasons and a made-for-TV wedding, to get that in the hands of the producers. So happened 5 days before they picked the cast is when that tape hit the producer's hands. So that's how she got on the show.
Mm.
So Liz was on the second group date of the week, which I feel like I don't remember a time where we've had 2 group dates in one episode. It may have happened, but I just don't recall. She's there, and that was the date where they were charged with breaking up with Nick. She airs out all of the laundry, blow by blow. No one seems to really catch on, though, that this is real, of course, other than Kristen. No reaction from anyone. Complete silence. Could this have been any more awkward?
No, it was pretty awkward. It was a kind of a weird date to start off with, and a weird exercise they were doing.
Well, both of these dates were very strange.
Yeah.
I felt bad when they were in the museum or whatever it was called.
The Broken Museum.
Broken Relationship Museum.
Yeah.
And how they had that couple fake fighting in the museum.
Mm-hmm.
And then how they made one of the poorer cast member girls do an in the moment interview saying, and I just couldn't believe how these people were fighting in the museum. I was just like, come on. Was there anyone that for a moment thought that wasn't for TV?
Yeah, I thought it was, but maybe there you didn't think about it.
Yeah. So Kristen's holding kind of this information that Liz has given her. In nighttime portion of the day, Kristen spills what Liz told her about the previously existing relationship. She tells it all. Nick cops to it, and this is strange. Do you think this has any bearing on what we saw play out with Liz's exit, or was the bet already made?
Yeah, it's hard to. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like, again, why would she even be on this season? You know, if she was kind of a producer, if we think she was put on because she had sex with Nick, like, why didn't he get rid of her the first night? Why did he? I mean, the question. I don't understand why he didn't get rid of her at the beginning instead of keep her on and then dumping her halfway through a date.
I tend to agree there. It seems as though, I mean, I think she was there because she had wanted to try to see if something was there. Same interview I listened to with Jade, she had mentioned that Liz had reached out to her, I guess a little bit after the fact, wanting to kind of pursue something with Nick, but this was around the time Nick was doing Paradise, and then he was going to become The Bachelor, and she just never reached out to him, but had wanted to be on because Nick was going to be there and wanted to see if there was something there. So maybe she was, maybe she wasn't there for the right reasons. Maybe it was a producer thing. We won't know. But when he sits down with her to address the elephant in the room, this was a very produced conversation. Did you catch on to this when you were watching?
No, I didn't.
So they sit down, he starts talking, she talks a little, and then they go to him talking, and then while he's still talking, they shift to a one shot on Liz, and then the sound completely changes. It's a very different sound edit from that conversation that they had on night one, where they were talking about you didn't want to exchange numbers, etc. We never connected. I was kind of done then. And then they flip back to Nick, and the sound edit changes again, and he continues on with the conversation that's actually happening there. So it was one of maybe the worst cases of being able to detect the production in recent memory. The Unreal Conspiracy really changes the way we watch these things. So sending Liz home on the group date hits the rest of the girls like a ton of bricks. He didn't skimp on the story when he told them about it, did he?
No, why should he? Be honest. They're going to find out anyway.
Nothing was sugar-coated. It was, this is what happened, this is what we did together, and there. Do you applaud Nick for doing what needed to be done and for eliminating her so he could tell the story and not let her tell the story? Do we not applaud him because it was almost kind of covering his own tracks? Or again, back to what you said, should this just have never happened? Should she have been gone night one?
I think she should. I think she should have been gone night one. I kind of think he didn't want her there, and either she was forced to stay the first night or whatever it is, but there was no reason to keep her around.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to miss Liz. I liked Liz. I thought she had a great smile. I liked her on the show, but we got a house full of people, and half of them I still don't know their name. And a lot of those people were on that wedding date. I wanted to circle. We talked about Corinne there. I want to circle back just a little bit about the poor girls on this date. I mean, it was bad enough that they had these themed costumes and shark suit girls. No shark suit, but it has to be a pregnant shotgun wedding with an actual shotgun as well. But the girls that didn't get to be the brides, they're at a significant disadvantage on this date as far as it's not real natural for the bridesmaids to be making out with the groom.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, there was positions you did not want to be in.
Yeah, Nick is kissing all of them, and I'm thinking watching this, I'm like, does Nick taste like Danielle, or is it her, or is it her, or is it her? Who does he taste like?
That's why I think Nick didn't care. Like, I don't think someone showing him her boobs is gonna phase Nick. He's like, sure, it's part of the game. Let's do this.
I really wish, as a whole, this franchise would get away from these wedding-themed dates. Anything else that they do could be somewhat, in some strange world, realistic in real life. Never would you be on a wedding date in real life unless you were having a wedding.
Yeah, but I think it's part of the fun. Like, they're planning, Nick is going to marry one of these girls, so let's have a date for a wedding. I think it's just part of the game that we're watching right now.
Yeah. And we had one of these in Paradise last year, didn't we? Do I remember Becca Tilly in a wedding dress?
Was it? Maybe.
I may be wrong, but that seems to stand out to me more recently than all the way back to something in Ben Higgins' season, which I don't remember something like that happening with JoJo or any of the girls there. All right. Anyhow, just wanted to touch on the wedding date, but what I really wanted to focus in on were the two other pieces of the episode, and one of those was Danielle M's one-on-one date. There's a lot of firsts there: first helicopter, first yacht ride, first fake dinner of the season. She was the one that I had picked that first day when you and I had looked at the Bachelor cast as my favorite, and I still really like her. Any worry for you that she's too normal, too down to earth for this?
No, I think in the final four you're going to have at least one kind of like normal girl.
That's true. Usually have one normal one and one crazy one.
Yeah, and then you might have a sprinkling of a little bit of, two people you're like, I don't even remember this person being on the show. So, yeah, it's okay to have.
By the time you get to the final four, you know who's on the show by then.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, usually one in the final four is a person you're like, I didn't know she was on the show until like the 6th week.
Yeah, there's a couple of girls there that are there right now that I had to look up to see who they were when I was reading about reading a show recap. Like Sarah, Lacey, I can't place these faces yet. I feel like we do a pretty good job of kind of knowing what they look like when we do our drafts on Fantasy for Reality. But Danielle M was one that really stuck out. I found it interesting that Nick had really gone in on like how he really wanted people to open up and really wanted them to be vulnerable, and boom.
What a surprise.
Boom. 5 years ago, my fiance overdosed. I found him and I had no idea he had a drug problem. That's tough.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's a tough conversation, and a conversation that I thought Nick, as a more mature bachelor, handled pretty well.
Yeah,
we don't compliment Nick a lot, so compliments do right there. He handled that well. What did you? Maybe I'm reading more into this than I should, but we really didn't see much of this date. It was intermingled with the Kristen Liz story back at the house,
which is never a good sign for a one-on-one date when they have to have interstitials of some other activity going on.
Exactly. So it was either really boring. He wasn't that into her, or they said, hey, well, I guess when they cut this, right, they already know where she's going to go. So maybe it was, hey, we know she's going to be around a while. We don't need a lot of date material here. So maybe we read that it was a boring date, or maybe we read that she could be around for a while and they kind of left a lot of that on the cutting room floor. Could go any number of ways. But the B team date was the second group date. Was there anyone on the B team date that's going to be around for very long at all? We had Liz there. We had Josephine there. We had Kristen, Jamie with the balls on her nose, Astrid, and Christina. Or do any of these people make it past like 2 more weeks?
Probably two. I bet one makes it like 3 weeks. You can't get over that many girls in 2 weeks.
Maybe Kristen.
We'll see. Maybe, yeah.
I mean, it really seemed like the best girls were on the first date, or they were Danielle M, or they didn't go on a date.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the other thing. Girls who don't go on dates, you forget they're on. You forget about them totally.
Yeah, well, I mean, we mentioned Rachel. I mentioned Rachel earlier. She wasn't on a date, and I don't know who else wasn't on a date this time around. Was it really a surprise on this date though that Nick's ring for Caitlyn was there? Do you remember? I was thinking he had a ring for Caitlyn. He may have even had a ring for Jen last summer. Did he ever even get to the rings with Andy Dorfman? Because she came to his hotel room and broke up with him.
Yeah, so maybe she just stopped. She stopped it before they got to that point.
So maybe he hasn't seen Neil Lane as many times as we thought he had. But I think that that was maybe, if you took Liz off that date, very ho-hum. The Josephine slap was what we thought it was. It always is. They can produce a trailer very well. You had to know as part of some sort of performance, but Dano, she hit him.
I lost you that last. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yo.
Yeah, I lost you right before you said about the slap.
Okay. I'll try to take it back too. So
Yeah.
What happened on this date, other than the whole Liz part of the date, was this slap by Josephine, which it was what we thought it was. The Bachelor producers can produce a good trailer. It always ends up it's not. But she hit him hard, Dano. That's a tough shot to take. That's not something you're expecting.
Do you think you felt it in the morning? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear?
Hello.
Oh. Can you hear me?
1, 2, hello. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me? I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I'll start with you having said, do you think he felt it in the morning?
All right.
Yeah, I think he did feel it in the morning.
Hey, can you stop for a second? Hold on. You're breaking up. Am I breaking up? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Oh,
There
hello?
we go. Yep. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Do you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Test, test, test. Test, test, test. I hear you. Do you hear me? Test, test, test. Testing 1, 2. Hello, hello. Oh, this is frustrating.
Hello?
Yep. Hello. 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 I can hear you.
Hello? I get hello?
Yep. Hello.
Yeah, there we
You
go.
hear me?
Yeah.
Don't know what was going on. I have no idea where we were.
I think we're still at that slap is probably where we should start.
Okay. So on this date, other than the big Liz story on the quote B team date, Josephine is really the only thing that happens here, and that's she slaps Nick, and the Bachelor producers, as they always do, package that up, put it into a trailer, and we knew better. We knew that was going to be something like this, but Dano, Nick got slapped hard.
Yeah. Do you think you felt that in the morning?
I tend to think he did. I mean, when you don't know somebody's going to slap you like that, and I don't know how good her aim is. She might have got a little jaw,
some bone.
a little too much. I mean, he got hit pretty hard. Said it was the first time he'd ever been slapped across the face.
Hey, she better watch out. This season on with the $1 million listings in LA, one of the agents got kneed to the face by his cousin and had to wire his mouth shut for like 2 months.
On purpose?
No, they were like playing around and in the pool. They were like roughhousing in the pool, and the guy got accidentally kneed in the jaw and broke his, had to get his mouth shut. So
yeah. And really, the only thing that happens on that date is Christina telling Nick that she cares about his oral health because he's a dental hygienist. But I'm not real concerned with that B team date because those girls, as far as I'm concerned, are not long for this show. Anything else, Dano, noteworthy for you this week? It was pretty mellow, but other than the two highlight girls.
Yeah, it was pretty mellow. I think it might be too many girls at this point. Once you get past that first date and all the cocktails and roses, I think we need to whittle it down probably another 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of girls that are there that have not even really been on the screen. I don't think Jasmine went on a date this week. We discussed Rachel didn't go on a date. I don't know if maybe Sarah did, but I don't recall. I don't know that if Haley did. I don't recall. If they did, they weren't memorable. But we'll drop some right off the bat in week 3. If we're lucky, we'll have 2 rose ceremonies next week, but I won't hold my breath. Before we get out of Bachelor, quick look over at our friends from Fantasy for Reality, fantasyforreality.com. That's where Dano and I play our Fantasy Bachelor game. It's still a tight one, but I had a big week behind Corinne and Danielle M. You had a big week courtesy of Liz, who put up some good fantasy points. But unfortunately for you, she went home. It's a tight one. I have a 100-point lead, but I am significantly deficient in number of bachelorettes. So we'll keep you up to date on that. It's not too late for you to go over there. If you enjoy watching The Bachelor, go play with your friends over on fantasyforreality.com. Dano, we're not going to go in depth on any of the other shows that we like to watch, but we're watching Vanderpump Rules. I thought they had one of the better episodes of the season. I guess really over the last 2 weeks with the whole NASCAR Montauk overlap. I really enjoyed the NASCAR piece of that. How did you like these? And then kind of follow up question to that, the way they rolled into the new show Summer House, which I haven't gotten a chance to watch yet, but I know you have.
Yeah, it was. I think they were trying to set up this comparison of like not only East Coast, West Coast kind of lifestyle, but the glitz and glamour of the Hamptons versus
Biggie and Tupac.
Versus the rustic camper living that they're doing over there, and even though they're in wine country, it's still they're kind of roughing it a little bit. So it was nice to see it go. It felt like the East Coast style of it didn't get too much airplay, but it wasn't.
It wasn't as interesting.
Yeah, maybe that was true too. And I guess the group, it's weird. I guess a couple of those people are married. A couple of the girls on the East Coast trip were married, and I guess Stassi's kind of calmed down. Kristen, I guess she has a boyfriend now, so she's being respectable. So you're right. It was more of just a little girls' trip more than a bunch of guys sleeping in a camper with their girlfriends for a couple of days.
And clogging up the toilet.
Clogging up the toilet? That's what camper. I always said the number one rule in camper was never taking number 2 in the toilet.
Yeah, maybe they didn't have a chance or to go elsewhere. You wake up in the middle of the night, the porta potty might be a long way away at the old NASCAR track.
The rules are rules, though.
Yeah, but so that rolled into Summer House, and I presume the people that we met on Vanderpump Rules that got fonts and occupations.
Yeah, not
that's the cast.
Yeah, that's the cast. Their ages. I guess they did it the same way the Beverly Housewives introduced Vanderpump, right? They transitioned straight from the Housewives of Beverly Hills right into the first ever Vanderpump Rules with Sheena and Brandy talking, and then Sheena drove to Pump or something like that to kind of talk to people about it. So they kind of did that. They kind of transitioned straight from it. I mean, it's good. I mean, we'll have time to talk about it in more detail, but I think it was a show where I'll at least catch the first couple episodes to see where it goes with it.
Yeah.
New Yorkers are just a different breed to me. I think I mean, I love New York and I love going there, but the people who live there and work there are just a different type.
Yeah, I've had my eye on it for a while, knowing that it was coming down the pipe. I like a summer show, no secret there. Also like a winter show, but Timber Creek Lodge has been a little up and down for me. But Are You the One is back, the new feeder show for the challenge. They debuted this week, so fans, if you're into Are You the One, it's back. If you didn't know that, I'm excited about a new show. Dano, you've probably seen the previews, watching some postseason football. This new CBS show, The Hunted.
Is that where they get to kill someone? You put a man in the woods and then he gets hunted?
No, I think that was a story you probably read in an English class called The Most Dangerous Game, where they hunted people. Yeah. No, the Hunted on CBS, it's being billed as follows 9 teams of 2 in a real-life manhunt as they attempt the task of disappearing in today's vast digital world in a 100,000 square mile space with some of the world's best bounty hunters or detectives trying to find them.
Is Tommy Lee Jones going like, I want you to search every dog house, man house, outhouse, live house?
And as long as you're thinking, why don't you think me up a cup of coffee and a chocolate donut with some of those little sprinkles on top? As long as
I didn't do it. I don't care.
It was a one-armed man with a prosthesis. Devlin McGregor and Gregor and Provasic, and that's our fugitive segment of the show. Yeah. But the big news is we have a challenge trailer. We have a challenge debut date. We have a challenge cast. And we have a challenge format. Challenge Invasion, February 7th, Dano. I don't think we need to say more there other than the challenge is our favorite.
Yeah, and it looks like we got a great cast coming. Some oldies, the classics. Johnny's going to be there, of course. So
CT's back. Darrell's back.
I just hope it's not just some kind of like cameo appearance by the champions.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I hope it's there.
Yeah, so the champions, you mentioned a few of them there, but the others, Ashley Kelsey from San Diego, Zach's ex-girlfriend, and Zach will also be there. Laurel's back, Cara Maria and Camilla. That's the champion squad along with the ones we already mentioned. But the format is interesting, where the rest of the group, which is called the underdogs, which exciting, I guess, for us, that there's really only, I think, 4 people from Are You the One, so it's a very real world heavy cast, along with we haven't had one in a while, a Road Rule, actually 2 Road Rules people. Darrell's there and Shane is there. And the format is that the champions are not there at the beginning. The underdogs are in a desolate, bare bones place, something called the shelter, where they have to earn their way into the house. So it's almost kind of like the island and a normal challenge. And at some point in time, once enough of them, I guess, have earned their way into the house, the champions will move into the house is kind of what this looks like. So I'm excited about it. Even the cast of underdogs looks pretty solid. So we love a good challenge.
I wonder if they'll have like the countdown to like when the champions arrive. Like, every couple segments will be like 1 week till the champions come, and then.
Oh, they will. That's become a staple.
And then I think it might be interesting to see how the underdog cast reacts when they show up, and like Johnny Bananas isn't there.
Yeah, well, and like where the most notable people are Corey, Jenna, Tony Raines, and Shane. I mean, everyone else is pretty new school. I mean, you have Smashley there, Dario, Marie from St. Thomas, Nicole, the buff girl from was that Explosion?
Yeah, let's go with it.
The one from Staten Island. Maybe that wasn't Explosion. Maybe that was Skeletons, but it's hard to keep all those straight. Anyhow, I think it looks to be a good season. And Dano, I have a new task for us as I look here at the roster of people and where they're claiming as their hometowns these days. Camilla claiming Austin, Texas as her hometown. Do we need to set out and find Camilla?
I believe she. Someone told me that she works out now at Camp Gladiator.
The Camillinator at Camp Gladiator.
Yeah, so if you're a member of the Camp Gladiator, you might run into Camilla.
CG Arena?
Yeah, the facility.
The facility. Well, my cousin actually owns the place, so I may have to reach out and see find out when the Camillinator is going to be there. Maybe we can recruit her to be on the podcast.
Let's do her work.
Let's do it. So more shows coming down the pipe. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Bachelor, a top thing for us right now. Anything for you before you hit everybody with where to find us online?
No, I'm just going to take a nap until February 7th. When I wake up, it's going to be challenge day.
That means we're going to have some challenge and Bachelor going side by side. I always like it when that happens. Dano, I mentioned it, but hit everybody with where they can find us online as we get out of here.
You can just Twitter at AfterRealityPod or like our Facebook page, the After Reality TV Podcast.
And you're on the Twitter.
At Daniel Ohler, Oehler.
And I'm on the Twitter. Spencer Kitley, all one word. We'll see you again, hopefully next week. We'll talk more Bachelor. Until then, we remind you, we like bears and Mexican food right here on After Reality. Son of a bitch. None of that shit we just did since we restarted recording.
Oh, man. Shit.
It says live, so I thought that meant recording. There wasn't an option here.
Fuck.
Let's go back and do like 3 minutes and get out of Bachelor and be done with it in 3 minutes, and we'll wrap it up and we'll just punt all this other shit we just did.
All right. Let's go.
So I guess I need to start a new one.
So should I get out of this?
Yeah, because I can't start a hangout on the air from here.
Okay.
All right. Be right back.